80 Void Shards guarantees you a legendary, one of the hardest legendary champions to get in this game. Fortus, Night Revenant, defense-based legendary. Is he worth your time? Let's have a look. What up, team? It's your boy MurderInc here, back with another Raid Shadow Legends video talking about the new guaranteed event that is coming out here. And we have a cool looking champion, as we said, legendary defense based. Nice to see defense based, but what does he do? Is he worth your time? If you're gonna spend for this, maybe some people have 80 voids laying around. Not me. That I can tell you for sure. So the first thing we're gonna look at is going to be his base stats. 20,000 health, about. Good, that's definitely good. Defense 1,387 on the higher side, 97 speed on the lower side. Crit damage, the first thing that caught my eye, 63%. So, do I think he's going to do damage? His kit base stats suggest yes. Let's go and see what his actual kit does to determine that. So, first let's count the books. We have 4 in the A1, 4 in the A2, 3 in the A3. Definitely not the worst. So 4, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11's not terrible. What about the passive? Okay, so we got lucky there. Could have been a 17 booker, could have been a 13 booker, could have been an 8, could have been a 6 as well, but I think this is a little bit on the higher side, but not the worst. Does he need the books? That's going to be the question. A1 has a 35% chance of placing a fear. This fear will always be critical if it's under a fear or true fear debuff. Okay, so already we have some crit synergy here. This goes up to a 50% chance if the A1 is fully booked, but it is single target, so I'm not sure you're going to really be aiming for those A1 books because, I don't know, a lot of setup. A2 attacks all enemies, has an 80% chance of placing a true fear debuff for 1 turn. This debuff cannot be resisted by targets under fear. That's kind of good. Hopefully they're smart enough to put a true fear on the A3, that's an AoE, but there is some good synergy here where they doesn't need accuracy, but the A1's going to need accuracy for sure, so a little bit weird that they did that. Let's move on to the A3. Attacks all enemies, will ignore 30% of each target's defense against targets under fear or true fear. This attacks will always be a crit. That's nice. The damage of the skill increases by 10% every time a fear or true fear debuff is placed on an enemy. So, I mean, the skill has a 40% chance to be unlocked for 1 turn. I see. Whenever fear or... Okay, so I don't know why they're showing the tooltip like this. This skill has a 40% chance to be unlocked for 1 turn whenever fear or true fear debuff is placed on an enemy. Now, usually they have an icon around a skill like this. Why this is different, I'm not too sure. Usually it looks something like this, like a passive. Although I guess it doesn't have a passive effect, so I don't know, maybe I'm just not used to this layout, but so from my understanding, I don't know anything about this champion, I'm going to tell you right now. It's quite obvious. You cannot use this skill unless it is unlocked and activated. 40% chance. I don't know how I feel about that. So let's look at the passive really quick. Increases the chance of enemy skills failing by 15% when those enemies are under fear or true fear debuffs. So, I don't know, I'm not a fan of the wording here. It's pretty much, from how I read it, giving it a 15 additional percentage increase on having fear or true fear work, right? It's not going to put it on cooldown according to this, so it's basically giving you a 15% additional chance of getting that fear proc on either fear or true fear debuffs. Active event prevents this champion's death and keeps them alive on 1 HP, kind of like Swift Parry when hit with a fatal hit. Now it doesn't say hits, and there have been problems with classes like this before where you can just use a 3-hit champion and it gets rid of this altogether. So, I mean, I'm going to click on the reviews. Not that that means a lot, but we'll see. After preventing this champion's death, fully heals them and fully depletes their turn meter. So it's a full here, but it goes back to 0. So they're probably going to get hit with the second skill unless this champion is built with speed. Then has an 80% chance of placing a fear debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. Cannot be booked, so it's a flat 80%. Finally places a sleep debuff on this champion for 1 turn. This debuff cannot be resisted or blocked, but it can be cleansed. And of course, if you get nuked by a champion, it's going to come off of you pretty quickly. So now, let's look at the reviews. Yikes. So I rarely look at this. I'm only looking at this just for a quick glance at the 15 people who do have this champion, have tested them. Do I have faith they're knowledgeable? Not at all. But I do like looking at this because sometimes when champions are really good and performing really well, and it's clear cut at least, this is a pretty good indicator. But for this instance, there's too much nuance to this champion. I don't know. Personally, I don't really fully understand his kit. Doesn't make a ton of sense to me because there's a lot of fear, true fear synergy, but there's no AoE fear being placed by this guy besides this. But you would never want to use this as like a Leorius or a Hefrak, because once this champion gets low health, you're putting a sleep on yourself. So the amount of commitment you need around this champion, I don't know, it's just looking a little bit suspect to say the least. Now, can this champion do crazy high damage? It's possible. He has good base defense. He has the high crit damage percentage. He has a pretty insane multiplier right here of ignoring 30% of each target's defense if they're under fear or true fear. On top of that, the damage of this skill increases by 10% every time a fear or true fear is placed on an enemy. So I don't have the numbers, but this could be crazy. I mean, it's possible if it's tuned properly that this could be the highest AoE in the game. But like I said, I don't have the numbers in front of me, so I cannot say that for sure. However, this is one of those things like Thea the Tomb Angel, top AoE in the game currently. Ruel, second highest AoE in the game currently. The setup for those champions is just too unrealistic for any real setting, which is why you don't see them often. So with that being said, I don't personally think he's worth it. Now, listen. Looks like a fun champion for sure. He looks cool. So if you have 80 voids and you're saying, I'm going for him, void legendaries are rare, I can make this guy work. I have a solid AoE fear champion or a true fear champion, I can have this guy go second. For sure, go for him. No skins, obviously. However, if you're the average player and you have some void saved up, I would probably recommend you either waiting for a 2x void event or a 10x event. I think that would be much more suited. I'm actually kind of surprised they picked this champion. Maybe they had it in their plans, and I don't know. The kit just seems kind of a bit weird based on the previous guaranteed void legendaries, even though we've only had quite a few. This guy's kind of the outlier because, like I said, I could be totally wrong in this, but he does not seem like a very strong champion. A bit overwhelming from my opinion personally. So let me know what you guys think of his kit. Did I misread something? Let me know in the comments. I didn't go over his aura. Crit rate in arena battles by 25%. Again, kind of strange here because he has this A1 that's going to be a crit no matter what if they're under fear, but that doesn't stand for any of the other skills. He has an A3 that has the same thing that applies to him where it's a crit no matter what. You have an A2 where that doesn't apply, which, why? Good question. And then you have a crit rate. Why would you give a champion that has 2 guaranteed crit skills, based on some synergy of course, give them a crit rate aura, and then have one skill that doesn't get the benefit of always critting with true fear and fear? I don't know, maybe I'm overanalyzing this, but there just seems to be a lot of flaws in this champion's kit, and I could not in good conscience after just reading this kit say this is a home run, sure thing, and definitely go for this guy. So that's going to conclude this video. Give me your thoughts and feedback on this champion if you have any. As always, if you enjoyed this content, smash the like button, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and I will see you all in my next upload.